What if a single composed TV interview ignited the firestorm that flung the royal discussion into turmoil? Bear with me, because what was uttered on the airwaves had millions glued to their screens. Imagine a typical morning show: spotlights, shiny smiles, the normal banter about celebrity news. Then Angela Levin sits down, and the energy in the room changes. You could feel it in minutes, even from behind a screen. This wasn't about fashion or cringeworthy dinner dates. This went deeper, into convention, into family, and into questions most are afraid to ask aloud. Angela Levin, famous for speaking the unspeakable, did not appear to make chit-chat. She gazed directly into the camera and started talking about Prince Harry. Not red carpets, not charity galas. She took the conversation into the uncomfortable, into ancient royal traditions and the aspects of Harry and Meghan's family life that had remained behind closed doors. And here's the kicker: she didn't shout. No drama, merely a level tone and biting comments. Ones that stop studios in their tracks and get PR folks dripping with sweat. She wasn't spreading rumors. She was questioning guidelines about procedures, about practices, about traditions that were not to be broken. Audiences sensed the transition immediately. Coffee cups were frozen midair. Phones were pulled out. Clips were taped and posted live. It was no longer background television. It was appointment television. When someone remains calm while dropping uncomfortable facts, or at least uncomfortable queries, people lean in. Levin's delivery made each sentence hit harder. No theatrics, no yelling, just plain, disturbing questions that no one else had the courage to pose. Within minutes of that interview being broadcast, the internet blew up. Twitter threads erupted like wildfire. Folks were clipping the segment, zooming in, replaying it, dissecting every single word Angela uttered. TikTok overflowed with stitches, shocked faces, and nonstop arguments. The other hosts next to her were not sure where to put their eyes: tense grins, apologetic stares. But not Angela. Indifferent, fully mindful that she was holding the flame to a fire no one could extinguish. And that's when she let it drop. The remark that even the most ardent royal enthusiasts would take pause about. She started discussing something very few question ever: how the royal baby was born. Royal births aren't so much about giving birth to a baby. They're an ancient tradition: hospital press releases, doctor statements, and those iconic steps out hospital doors. Everything is public, everything is documented, because these aren't babies, they're heirs. But Levin let that comparison fall away. Harry and Meghan's kids didn't play out according to that script at all. No photos on the hospital steps, no official medical releases, no time and wait announcement. All of it was private, silent, and behind closed doors. After she recited what was missing, people couldn't help but unhear it. For decades, royal births have been open and confirmed. But with Archie and Lilibet, it was all different. And people were paying attention. Timelines didn't quite match. Details varied. Photos questioned. Separately, they could mean nothing. But all together, they created a pattern that resembled no royal birth in recent history. Royal observers, those who live for royal tidbits, began comparing Archie and Lilibet's births to William and Kate's. All previous royal babies before them had adhered to tradition to the absolute letter. But Harry and Meghan? Total secrecy. Levin wasn't afraid to call it out. This was the first time in modern monarchy history that the process of royal birth had been completely circumvented. And the kicker? As far as is public, only Harry himself was present at Archie's birth. That blew everyone's mind and made everyone wonder, why? Why buck centuries of tradition? Why such secrecy when all the other royals did the same thing? These weren't slight deviations. These were huge deviations. Levin didn't just make general assertions. She went specific. Late baby birth announcements. Omitted information regarding where and when. No palace reports regarding labor. Reports regarding the place of birth that changed frequently, from a hospital to Frogmore Cottage to home births. None coordinated. And the timelines? They didn't compute. Even Harry's travel times didn't work. People began doing the math, comparing distances and times, and thinking something was not right. The palace usually makes this clear. But this time, complete radio silence. So the internet filled in the gap. Reddit, Twitter, YouTube, everyone became detectives, cross-referencing interviews, statements, and images. Others believed the couple merely wanted privacy. Others believed it was more than that. But either way, people only became more curious. Because once individuals pick up on inconsistencies, they can't look away. By now, everyone was watching Harry closely, and his reaction said it all. Reports started surfacing that Harry was spiraling. Frantic calls, pacing around, emergency meetings. He wasn't handling it well. Instead of staying calm and clarifying the facts, he dove into panic mode. Phones ringing nonstop, advisors scrambling. It looked like a man trying to put out a fire with gasoline. And of course, the internet took notice. If there was genuinely nothing to hide, then why the breakdown? Harry was always regarded as the cool one in crisis. But this time he seemed defensive, backed into a corner, desperate. Memes dominated social media. Late-night television made jokes. Twitter roasted him mercilessly. Even fans who'd always defended him started to doubt him. His public frustration became a story in itself, and before long, his response was receiving more coverage than Angela Levin's words ever had. Inside, he was said not to be heeding counsel. He was phoning journalists himself, attempting to dictate what was said, only causing more mayhem. And with every step, he convinced more individuals that there was something he was trying to keep hidden. As Harry was spiraling, Meghan disappeared. No posts, no appearances, no words. She went totally mute. And that silence became a story in itself. "Where's Meghan?" began trending online. Everyone questioned why she wasn't standing by him. For a couple who'd always moved in tandem, the sudden disconnect was jarring. Some described her silence as intelligent, a means of remaining above the storm and safeguarding her reputation. Others described it as seeming cold, like she had abandoned Harry to weather the storm by himself. Either one, the optics were terrible. The previously unbreakable team now seemed broken. People in the know hinted that tensions between them were escalating. The coordination, the cohesion, the faultless messaging, all that was now out the window. It was like a marriage that had encountered an enormous speed bump. And Angela Levin was playing the long game. She was calm, collected, measured. No yelling, no pointing fingers, just facts and questions. She knew just how to maintain her credibility, even as she kept the spotlight firmly on Harry and Meghan. She wasn't faking inside information. She just kept saying, "See what's out there. See what's missing. Make your own judgments." That made her impervious. She continued to turn up on TV and radio, restating her arguments with subdued assurance, while Harry's every outburst dominated the headlines. The more serene she remained, the more credible she seemed. The more frantic he became, the more culpable he seemed. Social media made it a split-screen event. Angela calm and composed, Harry red-faced and shaken. Memes spoke volumes. Stay calm versus panic. Every contrast made Harry look bad. Within days, the story went around the world. U.S. talk shows looped the videos. British tabloids burst into headlines. Pundits across the globe picked apart Harry's every gesture. The prince who once inspired respect had turned into late-night comedy fodder. On the net, it was a feeding frenzy. Reaction videos, arguments, reenactments. Even individuals who didn't care about royal news caught wind. It had become plain viral content, unstoppable. And just when everybody assumed that it had reached its peak, Angela Levin went and crossed that boundary. She began discussing something even more sensitive, the children. She noted that the lost files and omitted rituals might impact Archie and Lilibet's place in the line of succession to the throne. This was no longer gossip. It was constitutional. When Meghan was told, sources claimed she lost her cool, slamming her phone, yelling that Angela had gone too far. This was no longer about PR. This was about her children. But Harry and Meghan were trapped. If they answered, they risked making the story true. If they remained silent, the whispers would just get louder. There was no right choice. The discussion on the internet changed. It wasn't jokes anymore. It was arguments about royal law, tradition, and legitimacy. The stakes now were gigantic. And then Angela ended her latest stint with 4 ominous words. "This is just the beginning." For Meghan and Harry, that was the worst thing she could have said, because everyone knew it wasn't finished. More was on the way. More questions, more attention, more pressure. They'd been cornered in this limelight for weeks. Every step analyzed, every effort to control the narrative falling short. Now, they were confronting the one thing they couldn't control, an open-ended story they couldn't finish. Why did traditions get skipped? Where are the records? Why all the secrecy? No explanations, just more speculation. Harry's still stuck in the middle, trying to go on while the world continues to drag him back. And that's what makes it so compelling. There are still holes, still inconsistencies, still a mystery the world can't help but discuss. So what do you think? Is Harry and Meghan just covering up their own privacy? Or is there something more going on? Leave your thoughts in the comments, subscribe, and enable notifications. Because if Angela lets loose her next bombshell, you'll want to be the first to know. The tempest isn't dying down. It's only beginning. And Harry and Meghan are right in the middle, with no exit.